Third question is on the economy. How will you protect our ability to work? I'm going to start off, I'm going to go with you. Dorothy, you're up. I'm going to run down the line here. You asked to go first last time, so.
Fred says I asked for it. So, business. That was on my list. Oh, I can't find it, so I don't think it is on my list. I ran a number of successful businesses here. I still have my real estate brokerage, although I've been too busy with other things to do that. But certainly business is the top priority for me in Didsbury. Our lack of having commercial business and retail businesses is the reason why our taxes are as high as they are. And I am delighted to see that we have been growing our commercial sector. The new buildings over here, the growth of the home hardware, growth of our existing businesses is 80% of, generally that is what the percentage is of growth, economic growth. So often municipalities forget about their existing businesses. And yet that is where our, oh, I need to go, bye.
Sorry about that, I wasn't paying attention here. Fred, you're up.
Well, I'm not experienced in retail. I stocked shelves for Zellers once, and a kind lady told me to get out of there and go to school, which I did. I'm in real estate development, architectural design, and I have to deal with the planning department all the time. And literally, I spoke to the planning department and said, do you realize there's no lineup of people coming into town? They are in Carstairs, they are in Olds. So we must have a functional, dialoguing, servicing-minded planning department, interactive, not a barrier to business, but an assist to business. It's really basic, and that's where that club mentality has, it's a structural problem here, and I intend to address that. Someone else can have my leftover seconds.
Thank you. Gerhard.
Thank you. As far as ability to work in the community, I agree with what our previous speaker said with Fred. As far as the planning commission goes, we need to revamp that. There's bylaws and there's red tape in place that I think we need to mitigate and get rid of. And people will say, you can't do that, we got bylaws. Well, you know what? Who makes the bylaws? We do, so we can change them. And I think that's one of the things we have to take a good look at to make sure that the developers and people that want to start a business here are not inhibited from doing so. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up to answer, how will you protect our ability to work? David.
I'm going to start off, and I'm going to keep this current, okay? One of the problems that we have today is how do we keep our businesses functioning? Because it's our businesses that employ our local citizens. Every business is essential. I don't care what any politician says, because a particular business might not be essential to me, but it's essential to the family that runs it. It's essential to the employees that get paid. It's essential. So the first thing I would propose, if I were elected, is a declaration that every business is essential, and that gives us a layer of protection. If the provincial government comes down, being the bullies they are, what do? You punch a bully in the nose, and a unified council can do that, because the province is not going to go against the unified council. That's the first thing I would do. And I don't know if I'm running out of time. I'd also consider looking at the option of possibly declaring Didsbury sanctuary city. Now, I'd have to do a lot of research into this, but that might be another level of protection. Let's keep our businesses open and people working.
Thanks, David. I thought I was the only one that said something, made a reference to punching people at events where I was talking, so thank you.
I stole it from you.
Oh, thanks, I appreciate that. Next up, John.
Well, if you want to grow Didsbury, you have to be a welcoming environment to developers, investors, and builders. For the last 4 years, it's been an adversarial approach to that end. You can't throw people out of the office when they want to do something for your town, just because, for whatever reason, whether you don't like them or you don't like their approach, it doesn't matter. So we need development here. That's going to help our economy because it'll hire our young people, keep our young people here, employ some of our retired people who want something to do. So I want us to together bring a warm, inviting environment to anybody who wants to build something in Didsbury. Thanks.
Thank you. Next up, Ethan.
Thank you. I agree with a lot of what David has to say there. At the end of the day, all businesses are essential to the community and to the livelihoods of the people that run it. Okay, I don't understand how a lot of these other governments, provincially and federally, can come in and tell us who's essential and who's not. As they're still collecting the paychecks and these businesses are getting shut down, they're not able to put food on the table for their family. And so at the end of the day, I think this also ties back to our Constitution question. Everybody has the right to work if they want to go work. And I think as a town, we should be growing this community. We should be issuing more permits, reducing red tape, and find a way to reduce our tax burden on businesses so we can get more businesses here and grow this town.
Thank you. Come on up, Dallas.
Okay, so a lot of people have been answering in terms of our economy, and that's really important. There are things, like as was said, reducing red tape. Red tape here is a huge problem, even just inconsistency of what are the regulations. You go to the office one day and they tell you one thing, you go the next day, they throw something else in there. Trying to even get a sign up, as my wife knows, for her photography studio many years ago, just kept going back and back until they said, well, maybe if you just use the Heritage line of paint from Home Hardware, that would make it Heritage. There was we need some actual clarity in a lot of things, and it needs to really be cleaned up. It's a mess. Making things, declaring business as essential is huge. A huge part of what a municipal government can do is just not participate in the problem. Going back to our right to work. We can't protect people's jobs in Calgary. People are commuting, but we cannot be part of the problem. Talking to a lawyer, one of the biggest things we can do is just to not enforce and implement our own regulations like Calgary did.
Thank you. Last up, Baron. Thank you, sir.
Well, I'm the guy who drives around the town, and I see a lot of businesses and so on. I see possibly a lot of potential and so on. But where we should maybe start as citizens is to, first of all, support our local businesses. I know there's better value somewhere else, but we should shop Didsbury first and try to work that. Now, that being said, Didsbury businesses also have another responsibility to be more friendly to the customers. I had a bit of a run-in the other day with I'm not going to say it in brackets, a physiotherapy office who was supposed to have wheelchair access and it wasn't there. And it's small things until you're in a wheelchair. Then it's a big thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, I chose that question because I failed to see provincially, even federally, how our governments are determining what is essential and what isn't. When liquor stores become more essential than mom and pop stores and or restaurants, I have a real difficulty with that, and there's no thought into how to move these communities forward. And I believe wholeheartedly that we need to stand up for our small businesses and our mom and pop shops. So that's why I chose that question.